Hey everyone, and welcome to the Big House Little Budget build challenge that is brought to us by Jessamica and Rachel. They created this challenge and it's really fun. And actually I would say this is one of the longest builds that it's taken me in a while, and it really just comes down to a tremendous amount of indecision about what I actually wanted to do with the house itself. So as you can see, sizing was my first issue, because I was like, okay, the rules are that you have 40,000 simoleons max. You have to have 2 stories, you have to have 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms. I wanted to achieve this, but I live in upstate New York, and what's kind of interesting about upstate New York is that we have this mixture of more modern architecture as well as some very, very old style farmhouses and things like that. And so what I wanted was to emulate a farmhouse using this, because a lot of times those types of buildings would be designed for the sake of, herp. They'd be designed with the intention of making sure that there was room for a lot of people, but oftentimes there wasn't a lot of money to begin with. So I felt as though in the spirit of that, I would stay true to my upstate roots and go ahead and try doing something like a farmhouse. So that's what I wanted to make this look like. I was actually tagged to do this challenge by XM Sugar. She's amazing and wonderful, and everybody should go watch her and her build and her channel, because she's just phenomenal and she's one of the dearest people in my entire life. So basically, as I said, I wanted to go for sort of like a rural kind of feel for it, but ultimately I kept having trouble deciding what I wanted to do with the different elements of the home. I was like, okay, I want the roof to look like this. No, I don't want the roof to look like that. I want the windows to be like this. No, I don't want the windows to be like that. And then I had a hard time. As you can see, I sort of struggled deciding between whether or not I wanted it to be a little bit more old-fashioned. That's what I thought originally, like kind of like the Grandpa's Grove Sims 3 store set. But then I was like, no, that's not really my aesthetic. So I'll explain kind of what I was doing later. And I also wanted to, again, add sort of atypical touches, because farmhouses do tend to be kind of boxy. And I was like, all right, this can't be too super boxy. I did build it in Newcrest because I want to start filling Newcrest with my build houses. I just haven't really had any reason to develop it. So if I fill it with my build houses, then it will be full. Aha, how's logic? That's logic. I really wanted a bay window. That wasn't working out. Yeah, as you can see, that was not working out. A lot of it was pretty expensive, but fortunately due to the, a lot of the base game windows early on are actually pretty attractive, and they're relatively inexpensive. And then a lot of the stuff, like the doors and all of that, were really, really inexpensive because they're from the movie stuff pack, the movie hangout stuff, and it's like a salvage thing. And there's a lot of sort of hippy-dippy, hipsterish things, like touches, but, I think I made it work. So what I wanted to do here was go with a country blue. Like, a lot of the rural homes here are yellow, pale green, country blue, hence the name, like a cream color, and I don't know, the blue just kind of spoke to me. I really like the clapboard. I don't know, I just really enjoy it. But the only thing is I desperately wanted to put a window in the front there, and that didn't work out. Although I'm glad I didn't, because you'll see later that I actually really like the art as it ended up being. And I know there's like that little sort of alcove in the back that seems kind of weird, but if I use this house, I like the idea of putting a little patio back there or something like that. But yes, those doors are 50 simoleons, and they're actually quite attractive. So yes, initially I was like, okay, I'm going to go with some more provincial, I guess you could say, types of colors and wallpaper. And I grew up in a very old house. Our house is almost 200 years old. And I remember when we moved in here initially, there were so many types of wallpaper, some from the 70s, some from just ages and ages ago. And I kind of had a hard time reconciling it. It seemed weird and a bit of a mishmash, but I almost feel as though that's where some of my taste has come from, because what you're gonna notice as this continues is like I am going with the country stuff first, but I gotta be honest, the more, again, provincial patterns are a little dull. I think I do want to get more custom content. The challenge was not to use custom content, so I actually don't use a ton of custom content, so I really want more. How many times can I say custom content? Custom content, custom content. And I wanted to go with the clapboard, oh my god, the slatted wood. I really like that. And I was like, okay, I'm going to put some stones down in the kitchen, but that didn't work. So I was like, all right, some more rustic tile. I love the bright yellow in the front, like in the foyer. And of course whenever I'm building, I use the kids lighting. It's so bright and it's pretty decent for replacing the by debug lighting. Now here I ran into my first issue. I was like, okay, I like the wall colors, but what do I do for the beds? Because I did not want to give them crappy beds. I saved a lot of money by making the house fit the rules, but it's not that enormous. And so I managed to swing it and get them some nicer stuff. And again, like I said, I wanted to do the more rustic pieces, and I've got the bed, and I'm like, okay, I got the stripes here, what am I going to do? And it didn't get frustrating. I actually quite enjoyed this. It's a very fun challenge. I highly recommend you do it. But in the end, my indecision was just like, oh my god, come on, girl, you can do it. If this weren't sped up so much, it'd be forever. So I was like, okay, I really want an island there, and so that I could put like a little stool, but that didn't work. And then I put a normal, sorry, I'm so tired. Then I put a normal shelf, and I was like, that didn't work. And then I put a table, and that didn't work because it didn't fit. And I was like, okay, I'm going to fit this somewhere later. So I stuck that outside and forgot about it for ages and ages. And then, yeah, I was just like, okay, we're going to go back to the island thing. No, that's not working. I'm going to get rid of this island. Okay. And finally I got the stool to work, which I really like. And I wanted the separate sink because, again, like I said, I wanted it to feel as though this house had pieces which were just gathered from other places or originally made to be inexpensive, rustic, handmade. And I feel as though that kind of worked out. I was going to do tile in the bathroom. I decided not to. The big thing for me that I like about farmhouses is that they have atypical layouts. Like, a lot of times, these houses were not necessarily made from blueprints. There was like a rough estimation, but like in our house, the door frames are a little uneven. One side is like half an inch taller than the other side. And our windows lean a little bit, like, they sort of crooked and everything's slightly imperfect. And so when I decided to build this, it just kind of evoked that sense for me. And also, a lot of times, no matter how large a family they had to fit, you'd either have an open floor plan which had almost nothing in it, or you would have a very cluttered space. And I like clutter. I didn't get along very well with my grandmother, you know this, and she was a very tidy woman who liked everything to be perfectly neat. And so that's pretty difficult for me to reconcile. In The Sims 3, what I was trying to do there, in The Sims 3, I used to like to put a dresser at the end of the bed, and they tended to fit better with the beds there, and it didn't work out. So I was like, okay. Another issue was getting with the colors, and this is where I started to change my idea of what I was going to do here, because I liked the modern look of the chocolate brown and the green and all of that. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do here? And right now I'm still kind of lying to myself. Yeah, I'm going to do the rustic thing. It's going to be hotness. Yeah, I'm going to love it. And within a few moments, you'll see I'm like, well, maybe we could do something a little more modern. Maybe. So I'm kind of glad I did. So sorry. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I'm kind of glad I did. And I'm also glad I remembered to put a garbage can, because I don't always remember to do that. This space was a challenge. The foyer, I was like, okay, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to put the shoes, and it's going to have some art, and it's going to be a welcoming space. But the living room proved to be a bit of a conundrum for me, because I was like, all right, let's just put some cute stuff down. I wanted activity things. I was saving a lot of money. As you can see, I'm actually quite far into the design, and I still have a lot of money, like quite a bit. But you'll see that some of the money began to bleed. I began to hemorrhage it a little bit when I realized I wanted the more modern things, which I guess is kind of, it makes sense, I suppose. Like, when you think about it, your more modern pieces, these, like, in real life are going to cost a little more. So I guess that's a thing. But I don't know, it's a little frustrating because you get these pastoral, old school, antique things, and you want that to work, but it doesn't always. So yeah, and I was like, oh, I might put another computer desk. That did not work, but a toy chest. And yeah, the rugs, like, I don't know what I'm doing with these rugs. I don't know what I'm doing with these walls. So I just decided to change the tone of the house entirely. So this is kind of where it got a little wonky, because I just went with it. I was like, okay, let's get something modern looking here then. And I was kind of relieved because some of the carpets originally didn't fit, and I was like, okay, but then I found once it did, because I'm too lazy to adjust the shape of the house. But when you're this far into a build and you have to adjust the shape of the house, no matter how easy it is in The Sims 4, it's just like, I don't wanna. When you get a little lazy. I like that. That's from Movie Hangout Stuff, the new half curtain. It's a little difficult with the small windows because it still didn't match the modern theme to put the bamboo. I did want curtains, as you can see. And here's where I started to go wrong. I was like, I'm going to recolor this bed. It's going to work. I'm going to recolor it. It's going to be a great thing. That didn't happen. So I basically just changed the bed. That seemed like the easiest option. Wow, I'm really driving myself nuts there. There we go. Landed on it. I do like bright green. I actually particularly like green with like yellow and green with purple, green with cobalt blue. I love green with cobalt blue, any kind of green. And so that worked out. But, yeah, I had a little bit of indecision with the rugs here too. And a lot of them I ended up using at other places in the house. I was like, yeah, okay, let's do this space rug, okay. And then I was like, okay, yellow and blue, that should work. But then I had a hard time figuring out what tone I wanted in here, so I went with the dark, and that fit there. And here I wanted to put down the rose again, but choosing the color for that. The kitchen is very muted, but I'm happy with it. And then I put the sisal rug there. Thought, okay, I'll do this with the couch, I guess the word is, haha. But that didn't work out. So I got one of the Movie Hangout Stuff sofas, and it's quite expensive, but I do like the final outcome because I do have my aesthetic is sort of when I don't know if I mentioned this, but I probably did. But it's when you combine older pieces with newer pieces. I like that combination. So that's how this ended up. Yeah, I could not decide on the paint. I was like, does red work? No. And then I went with gray. Because red and gray is also a very nice combination. Oh, that's me saving my game. I would cut that out, but I'm doing a post commentary, so you're going to see a few of those. But if it makes you feel any better, you know that I take care of my game. I wanted some game systems, but I thought about it, and it just didn't seem to make any sense. There was a positioning kind of frustration. I was like, oh, I'll get him a piano. Nope, that's not even going to come close to fitting. So I ditched out on that, got them an easel, put the bonsai, and went to work on this smaller area. I like the idea of a nook for your living space. It's a pretty long sofa, and that works in the end. I feel it should be enough space. There should be enough space for the members of the household. It's a lot, but it'll be okay. I was turning the movement cheats on just so I could put some stuff where I wanted it. And yeah, that's where I landed because it had the same green. I tried to move those out so that the curtain didn't cut into it, but then it wasn't even. So I was like, okay, but I liked that I could put the stereo on top. That was awesome. They do have pretty inexpensive electronics, except for the one computer in the living room. The one computer is pretty nice, but the other one is relatively inexpensive, but it's in the spare room. It's like the guest room, so I didn't really see any reason to go all out. And yeah, I had a little trouble figuring out what to hang on the walls. The lighting design as well was a little complicated. Here I was like, okay, what am I going to put in this nook? Nah, that's not going to work. Okay, I should put some furniture. Should I put some furniture? Yeah, I'm going to put the furniture there. No, that's not going to work. Oh, it's just a chair. Nah. And that was a little frustrating, but really that just comes down to, again, now we're reaching a point where there's sort of a critical mass of content that we've got going on, and it's only gonna get bigger, and the indecision for me is just gonna grow, and I'm going to have to develop some sort of encyclopedic knowledge of what's available. Otherwise, I'm gonna literally just drive myself up the wall. That's the movie hangout stuff art. The other one is base game, and there's some really, really cute stuff. I put a cork board in the kitchen, even though it's one of the postcard ones. I like the idea of there being a cork board so people can keep things organized. And then I wanted a pot rack instead of a hood. And then I was like, what do I put here? And there's this really lovely wood block. It's very pretty. So I put that there. And some flowers for a little touch of magic. I've still got $6,600, so that was nice. The lamps are actually not that expensive. I did want them to look like old school gas lamps. Obviously retrofitted for electricity, but I wanted the feel of this actually at one point or another, again, being an actual farmhouse. And I like the idea that the one bedroom, which still has the antique wallpaper, that belongs to a person who just really appreciates aspects of the past. That's why the furniture in there isn't as modern. I don't know. I just feel like that's fun. I mean, I don't really need to apologize for that, but sometimes it's hard to explain when you have these kinds of thoughts. But I figured it out. I did want some nice art to take up space. I did realize later, you're going to see, I didn't put much art in the kids' room. However, I do feel satisfied with the rest of the house, so if I use this place, I will definitely put some art in the kids' room. That seems like a reasonable thing to do. I like dressers with stuff on them in the game. I feel like when I don't put anything on the dresser, it's a wasted opportunity, wasted space. And what's really great is the clutter category that they have in the game now. It's such a relief to be able to locate those little tiny touches without having to deal with all this other stuff in your game and fiddle through, like in The Sims 3 and all of that, and you end up with so much custom content. Oh man, just it kills you. So much custom content. So yeah, that's a thing. So we're coming up on the end of the video actually pretty quickly, and there's gonna be a photo array at the end. Now please remember to go check out Jessamica's video, and I'm very behind on the Simmer community. I was very ill last year. I'm getting back to it, so I would say, well, definitely obviously go check out Sim Sugar as well, and Rachel, but I'm so behind on the Simmer community, I don't think I'm going to tag anybody. However, if you do decide to do this challenge, I'd like you to let me know. Just tweet me whether or not you do a video. I'd love to hear it. So here we go with the terrain. If you watch my videos, you know that I like to hand paint terrains, and if I were not so tired, I would have done quite a bit more with this terrain. I like to add flowers. I like to add, like you see at the front, there's some dead patches. I like it to look realistic, to feel almost tangible, and so almost like you can smell the dirt. I know that sounds insane, but whatever. That's just how I feel. So I decided to make it wider because I wanted to fit the wildflowers, and that worked out. And I think it came out really nicely. I'm pleased with it. I am. And again, movement cheats just to make sure everything layers. It's the best way. And just lots of colors. Again, this house belongs to people who love nature and bright colors. And I think I'm actually going to use this sim. She's really, really great. What else? I was gonna paint the back, like I said, and that didn't end up working. So, okay, I realized I had to add a dining table. So I finally put it in. There's the dining table. It's all sort of, like I said, very tight. And I put some lights on the front so that people can see when they are guests, so that they're not just wandering through the darkness, which seems awfully rude if I'm going to let them do that. So I figured I would put some lights. And yeah, at this point I had very little money. I put down some little outdoor lights. And I put down some gardening things because I thought that might be fun. And I'm pretty happy with this. So thank you for watching. Please remember to like, rate, subscribe, any of those things. And I will see you next time. Bye! Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video and would like to subscribe, there's a handy dandy button to click right there. Also, consider checking out one of these or one of my many other videos. I've been at this a long time, and I've got challenges, builds, and story-driven Let's Plays to suit any taste. And last but not least, come along and join me for my weekly stream on hitbox.tv/Sims3Symbiote. Thank you!